So you are non-binary and you are an athlete. How does that sort of affect you being like a high level athlete?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting experience. There's not a lot of professions that really revolve around your gender in the same way as competitive sports. So I compete as a woman, though I don't identify as a woman. And so it's always a bit of a interesting experience internally to navigate that and trying to like validate my own identity while still competing in this sport that I love and doing the things that I really want to do. I think it's IFSC is really great about doing things around inclusivity. They're certainly trying. I had contacted them last year, I think, maybe the beginning of the year, and asked them if there was like a way I could put my pronouns into their system so that if I make a final and I end up on a live stream, the commentators would know and they could make an effort to not misgender me. And they were really responsive to that and they changed things for me and put in like a section in our athlete profile so that everybody could put in their pronouns. So it's generally been a pretty positive experience. I think climbing's really great about inclusivity, trying really hard. So it's been all right.
Yeah, okay, that's great to hear. I hear a lot of we get a lot of like IFSC bashing on the internet, so it's nice to it's nice to hear a positive experience there.
They occasionally do things right.
Yeah. And this was a question I had as well as a question from Discord. Would you prefer a separate category or like where athletes can choose where they identify the most? And how does climbing compare to other sports in that regard, or are there any official policies in place?
I think right now, it's like a third category is just not realistic. Like, you just wouldn't get enough competitors to host the World Cup in a third category. Australia runs a third category. They call it inclusive in their state events, most of the states. And so they run a men's and a women's and an inclusive at state level, and a lot of the social comps from that, which is super cool. But you can't really get anywhere past that, I think, right now, because there's just not enough competitors at that level that identify not a man or not a woman. So third category, not really realistic, I think. But I think there is policies at IFSC about trans athletes and like choosing which category you want to compete in. And I think from what I know, I haven't fully read them. They're relatively relaxed compared to a bunch of other sports, like trans women being able to compete in the women's category and trans men in the men's category. So it's, from what I know, not so bad compared to other sports that outright ban them. So I'm very thankful that that's not the direction that they're going.